There's a moment fans keep going back to. A moment where Ella Bright almost said something she probably wasn't supposed to say. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Stay until the end, because the way this plays out says more than either of them realized. Off-Campus built its entire fan base on the idea that Garrett and Hannah aren't just characters, they're a feeling. And every time Ella Bright and Belmont Cameli sit down together for an interview, that feeling doesn't stay on the page, it leaks into the room. Here's what's been happening. In press interview after press interview, Ella Bright has been asked the same basic question in different forms. What's it actually like working with Belmont? And every single time, there's this split second before she answers. A pause, a half laugh, a glance away, before she settles into whatever version of the answer she's decided to give the cameras. Most actors have a rehearsed answer for co-star chemistry questions. It's industry standard. Say something warm, say something professional, move on. But watch closely and you'll notice Ella doesn't always land on the rehearsed version. Sometimes she starts to say something more specific, more personal, and then catches herself and pulls back into safer language. That's the hint fans are talking about. Not one big dramatic confession. A pattern of almost confessions. Here's why this matters more than a normal co-star interview moment. Ella Bright is not new to press tours. She knows how to control a narrative. She knows what she's allowed to say and what she's not. So when someone that practiced still shows a flicker of losing control of the answer, that's not nothing. That's a real reaction breaking through a trained one. And fans who followed every off-campus interview since day one have started noticing the shift. Early on, her answers about Belmont were short, generic, almost guarded. Somewhere along the way, they got longer, warmer, more specific. She started describing things, not just he's a great scene partner, but actual details about how he works, how he shows up, how he makes a scene better than it was written. That's not the language of someone being polite. That's the language of someone who's paid attention. And once you start tracking it across the whole press cycle, it's not just one interview. It's a slow, steady shift that builds the longer the tour goes on. Like she's getting more comfortable letting a little more slip each time, even while trying not to. You can subscribe if you want more of this. The actual patterns behind Ella and Belmont's press tour, not just the headlines. If you're new here, subscribe, because we go deeper into Ella and Belmont's dynamic than almost anyone else covering off-campus. No recycled clips, no recap fluff, just what's actually happening between them. Now here's where it gets interesting. Belmont Cameli has his own version of this pattern. In his interviews, he's noticeably more guarded than Ella is, until her name comes up. Then something shifts. He tends to soften. He tends to smile before he even starts talking. It's subtle, but it's consistent. And consistency is what fans have been tracking for months. There's a theory going around that the reason both of them get slightly less composed talking about each other is because Garrett and Hannah's chemistry didn't come from nowhere. Real chemistry on screen almost always starts with something real between the actors. Respect, comfort, trust. Sometimes that's purely professional. Sometimes it becomes something the actors themselves don't fully name out loud, even when fans can see it happening in real time. And that's really what this hint is about. Not a confirmed romance. Not a scripted PR moment. Just two people who clearly know something about each other that they're choosing to be careful about saying directly. Think about it from Ella's side for a second. If there genuinely is something there, even something small, even something unresolved, the smartest move professionally is exactly what she's doing. Don't confirm it, don't deny it, let the work speak. Because the second she says something definitive, the story stops being about off-campus and starts being about her personal life. She's protecting the show, she's protecting Belmont, and maybe she's protecting herself too. This is something we've seen before, with other co-stars who end up with real chemistry off-screen. The ones who actually have something real tend to say less, not more. It's the couples with nothing going on who over-explain and overshare because they don't have anything to protect. The quiet ones, the careful ones, are usually the ones worth paying attention to. This is also why the age gap and mentorship framing that some fans push back on doesn't actually hold up as well when you watch the interviews closely. The dynamic in her voice, when she almost says something real, isn't the tone of someone talking about a mentor. It's more careful than that. More guarded. That kind of carefulness usually shows up when there's something worth protecting. And it's worth pointing out that mentorship framing and romantic tension framing aren't actually mutually exclusive. Plenty of real connections start exactly that way, with one person looking out for the other before anything else develops. The fact that people want to categorize it as one or the other might be missing the point that it can be both at once, evolving in real time in front of an audience that's only catching fragments of it. Here's the part that gets missed a lot. Ella Bright doesn't owe anyone an explanation for how she talks about a co-star. She's allowed to be careful. She's allowed to almost say something and then not say it. But the fact that fans keep catching these moments, clip after clip, interview after interview, that's not fans imagining things. That's a real, observable pattern building up over an entire press cycle. If it were just one moment, you could write it off as a bad edit or an out-of-context clip. But when the same hesitation, the same pause, the same catch in the voice shows up across dozens of separate interviews with different outlets, different questions, different contexts, that's not a coincidence anymore. That's a tell. And honestly, this is exactly why women over 40 have connected so hard with this cast. It's not about who's confirmed to be together. It's about watching two people be careful with something that clearly matters to them, and recognizing that carefulness for what it is, because a lot of us have been there ourselves. There's something deeply relatable about watching someone try to hold back how they feel about a person while their face gives it away anyway. That's not a teenage crush storyline. That's a grown, complicated feeling. The kind that doesn't announce itself, the kind you have to actually pay attention to notice. And that's probably why this particular hint has resonated so much more than a straightforward confirmation ever would. A confirmation is just information. A hint like this invites you to actually watch, actually pay attention, actually decide for yourself what you're seeing. It turns the audience into participants instead of just viewers. So, where does this leave things? Ella Bright hasn't confirmed anything. She probably never will. Not directly, not on camera. The industry rarely rewards that kind of honesty, and she knows it better than any of us watching from the outside. But the hint is there, if you're watching for it, in the pause before she answers, in the details she chooses to share, in the moments she catches herself getting too honest. Whatever this actually is, whether it's something real or just two people with genuinely great chemistry who happen to be very good at their jobs, one thing is clear. Neither of them is fully able to hide it anymore, even when they're trying to. And that's usually the most honest version of any story. Not the parts people say out loud, but the parts they almost say before catching themselves. Real or just good acting.